So you're going to ad hominem attacks because I just destroyed you. I tried to treat you with respect, but you're another MAGA imbecile. But I will still answer your question. But don't get me wrong, sir. A middle-aged idiot like you who wakes up in the morning, I really care what you think about my appearance or my looks.
Hey, Brian. Actually, it's kind of just jogged my memory from what the last caller said. You know, I've heard you say you're an independent.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say are some good sources on the right that you listen to and can take at face value? Because I know you talk about OAN, Newsmax, Fox News. There are some good ones that you think.
So there are some people on the right that I think are credible, but as far as an organization goes, I think that's a different question. I think Fox News is disgusting. I think.
Who would you say is credible on the right?
As far as media members,
or just like media personalities, media members. I mean, YouTubers, whatever it may be. And you just normally.
I'm forgetting their names. There are a couple panelists on CNN. They both happen to be African American. One of them did the show, and I apologize. I'm drawing a blank right now. But there are two of them that are regularly on the CNN panel that I think are really good at what they do. They're willing to call out Donald Trump for who he is. And I apologize. They're on at night, and they're on the panels on a regular basis. And I'm just drawing a blank on what their names are. But those are two people that I think are decent, good people. There are some MAGA Republicans on the right. Well, I shouldn't say MAGA Republicans. That's not true. There are some people on the right that I think are fair, that I think are honest. Tim Duncan, I think Tim Duncan. I'm thinking of Tim Duncan, the basketball player. I was just talking basketball.
Big basketball show.
Yeah, exactly. I think Duncan is one of them. I certainly listen to what Mitt Romney has to say, even though I don't always agree with him. I think Adam Kinzinger is another one. As far as media entities, I got to be honest with you, there's not a lot of them. There's not a lot of them off the top of my head. There are a few panelists on CNN. There are a few people on Fox News, but I just don't think there are many of them. Can you name me some? Because I'm struggling to name you some of them. Who do you think is credible on the right?
The reason I brought this up, and it's funny because it's the same name as you, is I had watched part of a Ben Shapiro video, and where he was kind of explaining I believe he was talking about like the tariffs and was kind of being very critical of the Trump administration. And I thought it was very, I mean, obviously I know his biases, like he's going to be very
Here's
biased.
Can I just interject? If I may, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what you just said, okay, because I want to give you some thoughts on Ben Shapiro. So if you're a bigot and a racist, which by the way, I believe Ben Shapiro is the guy who said he thinks Derek Chauvin should be pardoned. And once in a while, he says something that I agree with. That doesn't mean I'm going to give him a bit of credibility. Here's what Ben Shapiro does. He's a coward. He rarely ever debates people he disagrees with. Rarely. And he gets paid boatloads of money to debate a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds on campuses, a bunch of liberals. That doesn't make him smart. He's the guy that walks into a room and thinks he's always the smartest guy in the room. He spews right-wing propaganda. Yes, he's right about the tariffs, but he'd also be right if he said the earth isn't flat, it's round. I don't think that makes him credible. Rarely do anybody on that platform, including Michael Knowles, who I've debated before on the Piers Morgan show, many of these people fail to criticize Trump for anything. Once in a while, Ben Shapiro will bring up tariffs or something, and I'll say, okay, I guess we agree with him on that. But he's a racist, and he's a bigot. He attacks the trans community. He attacks the LGBT community.
Can you kind of explain how is it racist to say that Chauvin should be pardoned?
Sure.
Let me black cop.
Sure. I'll answer that. I'll answer that. But do you think that Ben Shapiro would be talking that way if Derek Chauvin was black and George Floyd was white? Answer that question first. If Derek Chauvin,
I don't think it would make the I don't think it would make the national news.
But I didn't ask you if it would make
the case.
I didn't ask you if it would make the national news, though, sir. I asked you if Derek Chauvin was black and George Floyd was white. Do you believe Ben Shapiro would be calling for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned? Answer that question honestly, and I want you to think about it for a moment because I think it's a very important question. Do you think?
I believe so. If all the other facts were the same,
I disagree. So. Okay, so let me ask you a question then. Why didn't Ben Shapiro talk about the Ahmaud Arbery case? Why didn't Ben Shapiro ad nauseum talk about that? Ahmaud Arbery was lynched. It was a national story. 3 white men lynched him. And then the only reason why they were ever even arrested is because the third guy released the video of it to a local news organization. Why didn't we hear Ben Shapiro covering that case? Let me give you a hint. maybe it had something to do with the fact that Ahmaud Arbery, black, murdered, and 3 white men did it. But you see, Ben Shapiro wants to defend Derek Chauvin.
The facts are the same. The facts are the same for the Floyd. George Floyd was black, and the cop was white.
Okay, so let's talk about the case. So we agree to disagree on that. Let's talk about the case briefly. So there were 2 autopsies. Both of those autopsies revealed that he died from homicide, not from drugs that were in his system, from a knee that was put on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes. He was already found guilty of murder. That's why he's in jail right now, and other officers went to jail as well. The evidence is overwhelming. We saw the video. That is not a common practice by any police agency in the country, that when someone is on their stomach and they're not resisting and their hands are handcuffed behind their back, that you put someone's knee on their neck for 9 minutes. And you certainly don't do that when they say they're struggling to breathe and when they go limp. Why would Ben Shapiro call for the pardon of Derek Chauvin, other than my opinion, which is it's a right-wing talking point and Derek Chauvin is white and George Floyd is black? Why would Ben Shapiro, on what merit, call for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned?
So I'll answer, you said on what merit. I will give you the merit first. I think the merit is if you're a Harvard-educated lawyer, when you pass the bar, you need to know the causation. Mm-hmm. There's a causation element to a crime, and whether the knee to the neck actually caused the death. And I think you're misspeaking a little bit, because there was another autopsy. I believe you are. There were 2 autopsies.
I'm not speaking to another.
Found a lethal amount of fentanyl.
Okay, but that wasn't. Okay, but that wasn't the cause of death. There were 2 autopsies. Hold on.
Experts who review
Hold on. What autopsy are you talking about? Anyway. Hold on. Let's be specific here. I'm not misspeaking. I am referring to the case and what jurors saw as evidence. There were 2 autopsies that were presented, and in both of those autopsies, what was the cause of death? What did they label the cause of death as? Was it drugs?
I believe they were different.
No, they weren't. No, they were different. I mean, no, they were not.
Pull it up.
This is important. You pull it up. You're the one making the claim. I'm telling you because I covered the case and I talked about it.
You're making the claim.
No, I'm not. It's not a claim. It's a fact. It was presented in a court of law. And both of those autopsies found that he died of something called homicide. Okay? It's not hold on. We're not talking about any medical expert. We're talking about the case and the facts that were presented in a court of law. The family did an autopsy, and the prosecution also had a professional. Both autopsies, okay? Both autopsies found that he died from homicide, not from a lethal amount of fentanyl. They found fentanyl in his system.
I'd advise you and your listeners.
You can advise me. You can advise me until the cows. You can advise me until the cows come home. But guess what? He's a convicted murderer. He's in jail right now, and George Floyd is dead. No, it's not okay. It's not okay. He's a convicted.
Brian, I agree with you to that.
He's a convicted. Okay, he's a convicted murderer. You talk to me about Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro doesn't want to talk about Ahmaud Arbery. He doesn't want to talk about atrocities that had happened to minorities in this country. He's defended some of the January 6th insurrectionists, but somehow you think it's just a random thing that Ben Shapiro cares about police officers that he thinks are wrongfully accused, and it has nothing to do with race. That is ridiculous, sir. It has everything to do with race. He constantly attacks the gay community. Don't Brian me. He constantly attacks the gay community. He constantly attacks the LGBTQ community, and usually people like that also attack brown people. That's who Ben Shapiro is. He wears that yarmulke on the top of his head, thinking he's an all-righteous Jewish person, and guess what? He's not. His statements he's made about women and abortion are disgusting. He seems to be. It's disgusting. He's a disgusting human being. Let me tell you something. He defends the fact that women in this country, geography should have say over their body. It's ridiculous. If Ben Shapiro wants to have 100 kids, he could have 100 little weasel right-wing kids. That's his prerogative. But don't tell other women what to do with their bodies. Ben Shapiro wants to tell women what to do with their bodies. I can guarantee you he knows nothing about a woman's body. Maybe we could ask his wife about that. He attacks the gay community. He attacks the trans community. And he defends a murderer who murdered George Floyd. How do I know this? Because he was convicted in a court of law, and a jury found him guilty of murder. So you can talk about other autopsies. You could talk about other doctors and other opinions. Guess what? It doesn't matter, just like Donald Trump is a 34-count felon. Derek Chauvin is a convicted murderer, and he happens to be white. Name me a time where Ben Shapiro called for the pardon of a black man that was a convicted murderer. Can you name me one case where Ben Shapiro said, I think that black guy should be free? Can you give me one example of Ben Shapiro who said, I want that man who happens to be black and is a convicted murderer to be pardoned? Can you give me one example of that, sir?
Let me do my research, and then I'll get back to you. But I have one more question.
Okay, that's fair. Go ahead.
I got one more question.
Go ahead.
Brian, I enjoyed the debate. I really
Thank
do.
you.
I really do.
Thank
I don't want to get you heated.
No, listen, you've been very respectful to me. I appreciate that. I hope you feel the same way about me. We're not calling each other names here. It's just a spirited debate, and I welcome that, and I appreciate that. So go ahead, sir.
When you lay down in that twin bed at night,
all right. Yeah, okay,
do you think you make a difference?
Don't. When I lay down in that twin bed at night, go ahead, pot him back up. First of all, sir, you're trying to be insulting. I was trying to be respectful to you. I don't know what you mean by twin bed. I actually sleep in a king bed. So I'm not sure you're trying to, I don't know, you're trying to insult me for what? First of all, it's weird that you're trying to come up with a bed that I sleep in. So I want you to think for a second, sir. You asked me, do you think I make a difference? Okay, all right. Pot him down again. So you're going to ad hominem attacks because I just destroyed you. I tried to treat you with respect, but you're another MAGA imbecile. But I will still answer your question. But don't get me wrong, sir. A middle-aged idiot like you who wakes up in the morning, I really care what you think about my appearance or my looks. Okay, that's number one. And number two. Do I think I make a difference? Not with people like you because you're a MAGA moron. Not for people like you because you're a dope. I had a guy speak to me the other day. And he told me because of listening to my show, he was able to get help that he needed when it came to mental health. I have people that reach out to me every day, and I'm very humbled by it, that say I help them get through their workday. So you're the idiot that decided to call into this show and tried to make a weird cheap shot or joke that's not even true about me sleeping in a twin bed. It's very strange. It makes you sound like, sir, that maybe you want to be sleeping right next to me in my bed. I'm sorry, sir. If I had a fetish for right-wing MAGA turds with an IQ of 20, maybe I would want you to sleep next to me, but I don't. Hey, so buddy, why don't you have a nice day and go fly a kite? You're an idiot. Get off my show. I try to treat people with respect, but I'm shocked that a MAGA imbecile like you would defend Derek Chauvin. I'm shocked that a middle-aged white turd like you would be a Ben Shapiro fan. I'm shocked that after somebody is destroyed based on facts, that you would go to ad hominem attacks. Sorry to hear that, sir. I'm sorry that you did that to me. I know this will disappoint you, but I actually live in my own place with my own king-size bed right on Las Vegas Boulevard. Have a nice day, sir. People like that seem to have weird fetishes for me. It's very strange. A twin bed? Like this guy is thinking to himself, I'm going to call into Brian Shapiro's show because I don't like him. I'm going to be a radio star for 5 minutes, and I'm going to insult the bed that he sleeps in. Very strange. Some people have very strange fetishes, sir. I hope you have a very nice day.